Hi everyone, my name is Michael Perry, also known as Mr. Plant Geek, and I'm very pleased to be part of the Global Sources online show. Now, I've been working in the industry for more than 20 years, and I've got lots of experience in introducing brand new plants to people in Europe, so home gardeners, also commercial outlets, but I'm also very interested in trends and how horticulture and growing is changing too. So today I'm going to talk about some of those trends. So I'm going to pick out 5 of the big trends in growing, whether that's outdoors or indoors. So first of all, let's talk about houseplants. Now you can see some houseplants behind me. I seem to have quite a few in this house, but houseplants are really golden at the moment. We're going through a real moment in horticulture where we're able to recruit more people than ever because there is a renewed interest in indoor plants and grow your own. And that has been fueled by social media. So Instagram predominantly, because it's incredibly visual. There's lots of houseplant influencers now that have hundreds and thousands of followers. So that is really what has helped houseplants to become very popular. And it's changed the world. And there are new companies set up that now send plants by mail order. Some of the growers in Holland and across Europe are just amazed that houseplants are incredibly popular. Some of those trends include air purification plants. Now this links into well-being, which I'll talk about in my 5th trend, but people really want to breathe in this clear air indoors. Perhaps they're living in a polluted city or somewhere that's very constrained, so they want to feel those well-being properties from their plants, but also they want that kind of feeling of looking after plants as well, having that responsibility. Also, people are very interested in rare and unusual plants because horticulture can be quite competitive. So you'll find that people are actually trying to buy the next new cool houseplant in order to impress their friends and of course, to show off on Instagram as well. Gifting plants is also very popular. So that means not just looking at a nice plant in a container, but actually making sure the outer pot is really attractive, really unique. There's lots of new companies offering very unusual clay figures as well. So really unusual concrete pots, lots and lots of different materials. So indoor plants really is a key trend. And I don't see that changing anytime soon because social media simply amplifies that. And once you start having plants in your home, you realize how good that is for you, for your well-being, but also it softens the decor as well. And once you start, you don't go back. So that is trend number 1, indoor plants. Trend number 2 is the urban jungle. Now, this is where you can bring some of that kind of indoor jungle style to your outdoor space. So we're talking about using hardy exotics, very tropical looking plants. So maybe bananas, big bird of paradise, palms, bamboo as outdoor plants and creating like an urban jungle. So this is also about outdoor living. A lot of people are living al fresco these days. They want to have their lunch, their breakfast outside. They also install very high-tech barbecues too, to actually make that outdoor space an extra room of the home. And of course, that helps people with the value of their property as well. So urban jungles and outdoor are really a key trend at the moment. And lots of new breeds and lots of new knowledge mean that a lot of these previously kind of exotic looking plants are actually a little bit easier to grow with extended advice that's out there as well. There's lots of great how-to videos. Lots of people are obviously staying at home these days, working at home, using their outdoor space a lot more, especially since the pandemic. So to make the outdoor space somewhere you want to spend time is incredibly important. So trend number 2 is the urban jungle, and that is an opportunity to just create your own luxurious paradise just outside your door. Trend number 3 is xeriscaping. Now this is spelled with an X, so X-E-R-I, scaping. And this is actually the practice of gardening outdoors, but without the need for any irrigation. So when you look at the changes in climate, you know, a lot of countries are becoming a little bit warmer, the demands on water in a lot of those countries as well. Using a xeriscaping style means that you do not need to irrigate your gardens. This is no watering. And you do that through using a range of drought-tolerant plants. So these could be outdoor succulents, sedum, ornamental grasses, lots of shrubs and hardy perennials come from, desert conditions that will grow in these drought-tolerant gardens called xeriscapes. So xeriscapes are a real now style of garden. So you're choosing plants that are drought-tolerant, and then you add a layer of mulch. So that's basically bark or gravel, decorative stones that then covers the soil completely. So you don't see any bare soil. You've just got lots of plants, lots of mulch, and that means the moisture is locked into the soil. So that means that it holds on to any of that moisture that comes, at the points when it rains. This garden really looks after itself. So it's a really, really easy way for beginners to start engaging with gardens. So I think we'll see a lot more xeriscapes over the next few years. They may also be referred to as gravel gardens or dry gardens as well. They're low maintenance because you don't need to do anything to those gardens, because you don't need to irrigate them. You just need to trim them back at the end of the season. You'll often find that if people are growing lots of perennials and ornamental grasses, you can actually trim those with a lawnmower, the same as going over your lawn outdoors. And while we're talking about lawns, a lot of people are actually choosing to get rid of their lawns, which are really, really high maintenance, and install a xeriscape, which is much better for the environment. It holds on to that water. Grass is not as good for pollinators because it doesn't create those flowers, but a xeriscape can be excellent for pollinating insects and beneficial insects too. Climate change is obviously driving this as well, and this was shown more than ever when the plant that won Plant of the Year at Chelsea Flower Show last year was actually Sedum atlantis, which is almost like the poster boy for xeriscape gardens. So that was a real moment where you knew that how we garden was changing, and we're choosing more drought-tolerant plants and planting them outdoors in a very different way. So that's trend number 3, xeriscaping. Trend number 5 is grow your own, and we've seen kind of like 500% more people growing their own at home. There was obviously a lot of panic during the pandemic where people were thinking they would have to grow their own fruit and vegetables in order to survive. But I think that was perhaps a little bit hysterical, because it's really fun to grow your own, but it's certainly not sustainable for a whole family. So I think grow your own needs to be more about flavor, more about reducing food miles, more about supplementing what you already buy from the local markets as well. So growing your own can be done in any space. There's some great new products out there that help you do it quickly and easily. A couple to note would be the Veggie Pod, which is a product coming out of Australia, which is now being sold worldwide, which is like an elevated allotment. So this is great for less able people as well. They recently launched a veggie bag, which is basically a bag that extends, kind of expands out on your patio, and then you just plant your vegetables into there, and it then seals up with a net around it to take pest and disease away. So there's lots and lots of new developments that are helping people to grow their own fruit and vegetables at home in whatever space, because even if you haven't got a balcony or a patio, you can still grow a range of fruit and veg in a window box, for example, or on a windowsill indoors, such as dwarf tomatoes, strawberries as well. Obviously, you are supplementing your diet and then needing to buy, less vegetables from the food markets, perhaps locally, or the supermarkets. But most importantly, you're getting that journey of growing your own. Great for kids, great for families to kind of learn where food comes from, but also think about the vitamin content. Once a vegetable is picked, that vitamin content starts to, dissipate from that very moment. So if we could pick vegetables from our back gardens and eat them almost straight away, they will have optimum vitamin and mineral content. So first of all, they're much better for us. The flavor is much better. Sweet corn, for example, from the moment you pick it, that sweetness starts to deteriorate. So you'll have some of the sweetest sweet corn directly from your crops outside. Also, you're reducing food miles, so it's making everything more sustainable. You can also become eating more seasonally, so eating fruit and vegetables at the actual time that they ripen. So that's great for education as well. And lastly, you can actually grow fruit and vegetables that you can't buy in the shops too. So say orange tomatoes, yellow raspberries, a lot of these fruit and veg that are always very short supply, you can grow your own and experience that really different flavor and a really different experience with that fruit or vegetable. YouTube is mainly driving this grow your own revolution. There are accounts which have more than 300,000 followers showing you how to grow on balconies, small gardens, people with new gardens as well that perhaps don't have that know-how. The demographic is incredibly mixed. There's young people with their first vegetable patch, allotment, very popular on YouTube, also Instagram. But right at the other end of the scale, you've got kind of the 50 to 65 that are growing their own at home and finding new, easier ways to do that. And one particular YouTube channel I would draw you to is called the No Dig Garden. And this is actually a way of gardening to grow your own, but without having to dig the soil or any maintenance at all. So that is a revolution. And it's actually made gardening a lot easier for the older demographic as well as the new people to that kind of hobby as well. So that is our fourth trend, which is grow your own food. The final trend is well-being. Now, well-being is obviously more important than ever because we've been going through a pandemic. You know, there's been lots of worry. We've needed to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable in our own environments, our home environments too. So that's why you've seen a real increase in people growing indoor plants, grow your own, kind of creating that urban jungle. So all of the trends that we've talked about today have really been amplified by the recent pandemic. But of course, well-being is more important than ever. Lots of people are not just growing more plants for the air purification, for the kind of well-being feeling, having responsibility for a plant as well, and kind of that purpose as well. But also, it's about connecting with other people, and that's connecting through perhaps Instagram, social media platforms. But this also spills over into plants as a plant-based diet as well. So you find that people are really recognizing plants in a number of different ways, not just growing them, but eating them as well. And that all ties into our kind of well-being trends. So a lot of plants are being sold with that kind of, you know, slant that they're good for your well-being, whether that's looking after them, purifying the air, or eating them as well. A few other things that kind of link into that is not just plant-based diets, but also in the hospitals in the UK, the NHS is starting to recognize that being around plants and nature is good for patient recovery and for well-being. So even having some plants in the recovery rooms are a real benefit. So they are slowly moving towards incorporating a lot more of that. So it's great to have that awareness. Likewise, community gardens have become very, very popular. And they're obviously great for well-being, not just of the individual, but that community feeling as well. So there we go. We've run through 5 different trends today. So I'm just going to go back and give you a line on each one of those just to reiterate them. So we looked at indoor plants. We looked at how houseplants have really captured the attention of millennials as well as the older audience too, and really helping people to connect and really good for their well-being. Trend number 2 was the urban jungle, creating that outdoor living room with a real exotic kind of staycation vibe. Trend number 3 was xeriscaping, which is gardening without the need for any watering by means of plants and mulching. Trend number 4 was grow your own food. We talked about the different flavors, the better vitamin contents of vegetables and fruits that you can grow easily in your own outdoor space. And then finally, we talked about well-being, which brought in a lot of those different elements in terms of diet, looking after plants, kind of plants helping patient recovery as well. So that gives you a bit of an insight to what is happening almost worldwide with horticulture at the moment. It really is a golden time for horticulture. I would say, having worked in the industry for more than 20 years, we've never had it this good. And this is a real key time to recruit more and more new faces, whether that's from, you know, existing gardeners or also, you know, taking them from, you know, art interests or cooking interests and trying to recruit people into what we know is an amazing industry. Thank you very much for including me today in your Global Sources Talk program. And yes, you can connect with me online. I've got a website called mrplantgeek.com, and you'll find out lots more about me and also find all of the links to social media. Thank you very much.